Let's open the box. Unpack the components. RFID stickers. Quick assembly guide and stickers. Syringe. Wheels. There are 8 wheels in the package. There are 2 spare casters of each type. The casters differ in the number of teeth. Hose. Battery holder. Fuel cell. Electrolyzer. A bag of small mounting materials. This part is called the motor mount. Bracket. Storage tank and tray. The last part is the chassis. We'll unpack the bag of small components. The thin strips are the tire mounts. There's 1 spare in the package. These are the tires. Shut-off valve. Quick coupler for the side of the car. Flush valve and fill valve. Electric motor. Shafts. Axles. V-notch. Allen key. Spur gear pry bar. These are the spur gears that come to slide onto the motor shaft. There are 4 spur gears. There are always 2 spares, and 2 spur gears are double-sided and have different numbers of teeth. These are the mounting element. And small fasteners. We come to step 1, when the motor and spur gear assembly takes place. The spur gear is quite difficult to put on. You have to push it in, push it against the table. The end of the motor shaft is aligned with the spur gear. We come to point 1-3, where the motor mount is being assembled with the motor itself. We prepare the mounting material, which includes a long bolt and nut. The nut will come to slide into the hole. The bolt will slide into the hole again. Then, we insert the motor into the sleeve so that the face of the motor faces the sleeve. Screw in the screw, but do not tighten so that the motor can be moved. In the next point 2-1, the insertion of the pins takes place. We insert the pins using the hydrogen storage tank holder, where there are 2 holes, one deeper, one shallower. We insert the pin into the deeper hole and then use the motor holder to push the pin into the non-penetrating hole in the motor holder. Do this twice. Note that the pins are in a single row. Use to push the pin through the shallow hole in the hydrogen container holder. Now the installation takes place in step 2-3, which is when we insert the hydrogen-filled quick coupler into the prepared hole, making sure it is oriented correctly so that it cannot be twisted. We come to step 3.1, when we insert the nuts into the stones. Leave the nuts lying on the pad and put the stone on it. Now it's on to point 4. Inserting the spring into the hydrogen storage holder. Squeeze the spring in and use an Allen key to push the bottom threads all the way in. There is an inspection hole where you should see a bit of the spring threads. Once the spring is in, insert the screw, push in lightly, and screw in. Screw all the way in, don't over-tighten. Next is point 5, fitting the tire holder to the wheels. Insert the tire holders behind the tabs in the wheel, and with a fingernail or other tool, slide the tire holder over the tabs. Open it and insert the tire into the prepared gap. Do this a total of 4 times. The tire is then preferably inserted through the opposite side of the tire holder. In step 6.1, connect the axle, shaft, and wheels. Slide the shaft into the wheel, fit the axle, fit the other wheel, and push the parts together. A gap must be left between the wheel and the axle. Using a circular motion and pulling, push the casters out of the way until the axle is completely free. The axle should have a clearance of no more than 1 millimeter compared to the wheels. The optimum clearance is about 0.5 millimeter. Now we are in the process of loosening and demonstrating the clearance. We come to point 7. This is where the chassis and the motor bracket are assembled with the motor mounted. The pins that are on the underside of the motor mount will fit into the grooves. Now we take the mounting stone and the screws. Insert the stone into the groove from the underside. Align the nut hole with the hole in the motor mount. Insert the bolt and screw it in. Do the same for the other bolt. Do the same for the second coupling. Do not tighten the screws too much so that the motor mount can be moved freely. Now it's on to point 8.5, mounting the axles to the chassis. Insert the bolt from the underside of the chassis, the axle, onto the bolt. And then we screw the bolt in, but we don't tighten it. After the first bolt is screwed in, we screw in the second bolt, where we can tighten it more. Repeat the same for the second axle. Tighten the screws after all axles have been assembled. There is no need for force. Now we come to the engine adjustment. Slide the motor against the wheel so that the wheel can turn freely and tighten the motor sleeve bolt. Now we're putting the finishing touches on the axles. In step 9, we cut the tubing. There are grooves on the underside of the chassis that we press the tubing into, and then you cut the tubing with the end of the chassis. Repeat this for all lengths. At point 10, assemble the hydrogen container bracket and the hydrogen container itself. Push the hydrogen reservoir until almost to the end of the eyelet. Now use the shortest tube and fit it to the hydrogen container. At point 11, we take the longest tubing and the shut-off valve and push the tubing through the valve. The valve can be opened for better stretching. Now take the bleeder valve, fuel cell, and the remaining hose. The fuel cell will be unpacked from its protective packaging beforehand, which needs to be stored for later use. This is because the fuel cell dries out and must not be left without this packaging for an extended period of time. Slide the remaining hose onto the outlet of the fuel cell and fit the other end of the hose with the vent valve. Connect the long hose to the other port. Watch the orientation of the shutoff valve as shown in the video. At point 11.5, insert the fuel cell into the chassis. Shape the tubing, run a fork through it, and insert the shutoff valve with the control face facing up. The valve snaps all the way in. The through end of the tubing can be pushed into the hole. Now, at point 11.6, we can put on the hydrogen reservoir holder and make the tubing connections. We then push the vent valve into the prepared holder with the control button facing up. Step 12. 1 is then the step of adjusting the clearance between the gear on the motor and the wheel. Take plain office paper, cut a strip, fold it in half, and place it between the gears. The paper will deform a little and create a gap between the gear and the wheel. If the pressure is too great at this point, you will lose a lot of power. Pay special attention to this step. The next step is to tighten the screws and pull the paper out. Now attach the crocodiles. Between, connect the fuel cell and the engine. Connect the bottom crocodile red first, then the black one second. That's almost the end of the assembly. The last step of the assembly will be to mark the car with an RFID sticker, which is used to identify the car during the races. There are more stickers because if you want to make your own car, you don't have to peel off the sticker. You have done very well. Now you are ready to race. Good luck!